Welcome to the Digital Business Evolution Podcast, a place that you can now call home. I know you're creating long-lasting impact in this world, and you absolutely deserve the time, location, career, and financial freedom that you desire. I'm here to guide you with proven strategies, tools, and mindset hacks that I've taught to thousands of business owners. You'll also be hearing from exceptional guests sharing stories of their own personal and business evolution. My name is Jessica DeRose, and I'm here to teach you what I'm learning. We are all inherently worthy, regardless of the number of degrees, awards, and accolades that we've collected along the way. Grab a notebook, a coffee, and enjoy the show. Hello. Welcome back to the show. Today, we are talking about 10 steps, 10 tactical ways, 10 strategies, a checklist for you to go through to hit those 10K months consistently. So I can already hear the eye rolls through the podcast. I can hear you eye rolling because you're annoyed that I'm saying 10K months because you think that we should lift this ridiculous arbitrary goal, this number that we want to hit, because we all know that we're worthy despite how much money we make. And I agree with you. I hear the eye roll because you're so far from 10K months that you think I'm a crazy person. And there's no way that that's any way possible for you to actually create. So I get that. I also hear you. I was you. I was making 40, 50 grand as a teacher. So a 10K month, which is $120,000 a year, was literally not tangible. It wasn't possible. And I also hear the eye roll because you're like, yeah, whatever, Jess. I've already hit 10K months. I'm looking to create 20K, 40K, 80K, 100K months. So how is this even going to be helpful for me? Well, let me just tell you that, of course, it's going to be helpful because anytime we're talking about anything in business or life, it's always good for a refresher. It's always good to hear a different perspective. It's always good to hear something that might just stick because maybe, just maybe, you're actually ready to receive it right now and you haven't been able to receive it in the past. It's kind of like when a teacher said something to a student and it finally clicks, right? They come home and they tell the parent this thing that they learned. And the parent is super frustrated because they're like, I've been saying that to you for months. But it's the delivery, it's who it's coming from, it's the energy in which it's coming from, and it's the portal in which you're ready to receive that information that matters. So maybe you're going to hear something today that you've heard before, but maybe you'll hear it in a different way. Maybe you'll be ready to hear it in a different way. Either way, it doesn't matter. 10K months at the end of the day is a huge goal for a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs starting out their businesses. It's an incredible goal to have. But I will also tell you that whether it's a 10K month or a 100K month, which are both amazing goals and they feel really good when you hit them, they're not necessarily going to just bring this ease and flow and freedom and happiness the way that we sometimes think they are. And I know that you know that as well, but I'm speaking to you from experience. And I'm just letting you know that no matter what the number is, you're always going to want to move the finish line. That's what we do as humans. It's like when you go out for a jog or a run, which I'm not a runner, but I think this probably will ring even more true and resonate with people that aren't considered runners. They don't consider themselves runners. When I go out for a run, I get tired pretty quickly. And so I'll tell myself, okay, Jess, just get to the fire hydrant and I'll get there. And when I get to the fire hydrant, I still have some gas in the tank. So I say, all right, Jess, keep going, keep running. Don't stop. Don't slow down. Just get to the end of the street corner. And then I get to the street corner and I'm like, well, I can kind of I can keep going. I'm not done yet. And then I tell myself, just get to the tree. And then when I get to the tree, you get the point, right? We continue to move the finish line. And that's not a bad thing. That is how we move forward. Goal setting, finish line, right? Every time you get there, you move it to the next one. But what I also know to be true is that there's something beautiful and really important in the journey, in really taking a look at the fire hydrant, the street corner, and the tree, and really being with those moments and recognizing how far you've come and embodying what it took to get you there, reflecting back. So whether or not you're looking to hit a 10K month, a 50K month, a 250K month, I 100% can confidently tell you that all 10 of these steps are required. It doesn't matter if you're starting or scaling your business. So for me, I've been in this industry for over 7 years. And I started with selling $79 ebooks. And I'll never forget the first time I launched one of my first ebooks, $79. I believe I had actually put it on sale for launch night at $59. And I sold 11 copies. And I thought that was it. It was my ticket out of teaching. I was going to become this millionaire after $59 ebooks or $79 ebooks. And I'm guessing that my mom probably bought like 4 of them. Thanks, mom. Right? I've had so many flopped launches, silent launches. I've also had $250,000 launches and above, $250,000 launches and above. After helping build out 500 different client programs and launches, helping my clients create over $11 million in revenue, helping create 8 millionaires from the ground up, I figured out a thing or two. I don't know everything, not even close, and I never claim to. But what I know is that these 10 different steps are integral parts of your business. So, as always, grab a notebook, but also know my team and I have put together these 10 steps on a really easy to click and download PDF so that you don't even have to take notes. You can be fully present in what you're doing. I would love if you're present and listening. I know you're probably at the gym or doing laundry, running around, doing things around your house, running errands, and I love that too. But I encourage you on these episodes to really lean into what I'm saying, to really listen so that you're not just consuming. Because we have consumptionitis, right? We all do. We don't need to consume more, we need to act more. And it's through the process of when you consume, when you learn, can you really understand and comprehend? And when you comprehend, can you then integrate it into your life, into your business? And once you've integrated it, and that's a fancy word for taking action, well, then can you start to embody it? And when you embody it, it becomes habitual, it becomes routine, it becomes a part of who you are, your DNA. It becomes a part of your belief system and the way that you go about the world. So, again, if you want to take notes, go ahead and take notes. But if not, we have that download for you. So you can head to the show notes and you could just click and download that PDF. And I'm super excited to get this list started. So, without further ado, let's jump into number one of the top 10 steps to creating those consistent 10K plus months in your business. So, number one is stop trying to help everybody. You've heard this before. Pick a niche down, however you say it, niche, doesn't matter. Pick a niche down. We want you to earn your right to go wide. I want you to go deep at the beginning. So think back to Starbucks. When Starbucks first started, they sold one thing. Go ahead. What did they sell? Coffee. They sold coffee. And over time, after selling coffee and a lot of it and popping up more stores and getting a lot of customer feedback and seeing what the market wanted, because the market demand is what drives the market. It's what drives consumer buying and selling. Then they decided to bring other things in. And I couldn't tell you off the top of my head because I don't know their business model or plan, but I'm assuming after coffee, basic coffee, maybe it was tea, maybe in coffee and tea were at the same time. But then maybe they started expanding into a couple little muffins here and there. And then they expanded to sandwiches and bagels and cake pops. And now they have little bags of hippies and popcorn, and you can get granola bars and almonds and stuff like that. And then there's even juice and green juice and sparkling water. Over time, they've earned their right to go wide. They started super niche. We're going to sell coffee to people who are interested in drinking coffee. And maybe they had a couple different flavors, but even that, they probably had one or two, right? Basic, maybe vanilla, maybe hazelnut, maybe decaf, and maybe plain. And now over time, they've got the dark roast and the blonde roast and the cafe mocha woka flopas, right? Like all the different frappuccino wappuccinos. They've earned their right to go wide. They got the market demand and the social proof, the proof that people wanted it. And they were super repetitive. This is huge. When you're not trying to help everybody and you're helping one person, I want you to be repetitive and consistent to the point where you're boring yourself. I can't believe I'm saying the same thing again. I can't believe I'm teaching the same thing again. This feels so boring and stale. Because then what happens is you continue to tell your story until people are telling your story. Let me say that again. Keep telling your story until people are telling your story. Your story being who you are and what you do and why you do it. Your story being how you help people, what your offers are. Your story around who it is that you're serving. Stop trying to help everybody. Figure out a way to niche down. Number 2, I need you to know your ideal client front and back and forth, up and down, left and right, inside out. I need you to know exactly what your ideal client is struggling with. what they've tried, where they came from, and I want you to stop to pause. So if you're sitting here going, oh, I can't believe she's talking about this right now. I've already done the 30 questions to figure out who my ideal client is. Pause. I'm not talking about the demographics of your client and where they live and how much money they make and what they do on the weekends. I'm talking about knowing your ideal client, knowing them. How do they feel? What drives them? What motivates them? What have they been struggling with? What are their pains and their pleasures? What are their emotions, their daily routine? How can you relate back to them? How can you help them with where they are? How do you meet them where you're at or where they're at? So rather than struggling to go find ideal clients and hunting for them, stop looking for them and pause to think about them. Knowing your ideal client is so much deeper than what they look like. In fact, I personally believe we shouldn't be creating this visual representation that's so clear in our brains, because then what happens is we are not inclusive. We shut people out because we've created this avatar that we've been told to create. We subconsciously even shut people out. So it's not about where they live and what they look like. It's about their values. It's about who they are as a human, their character traits, and what they're going through emotionally. So, with these first two things, again, I can feel the resistance through the podcast of, oh my gosh, I can't believe she just started with niche and ideal client. And I did. Because when you're building a business, no matter if you're trying to hit a 10K month, a 100K month, or $100,000 year, $100 million year, you need to know these things. And the other part of this is, before we get into number 3, you don't just need to know them today. You need to know them always. You get to know them always. If you don't want your business to become stagnant, if you've gotten to a point and a place in your business that it's a bit plateaued, I deeply encourage you to take a look back. Ask yourself without judgment, but be real. When was the last time you went back to figure out your niche and ideal client? Because if it was 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 3 years ago, I'll tell you right now, it's time to do it again. And I say that with love, but it's time to do it again. Because if you think for one moment that you don't need to do those things again, that you don't ever have to revisit them, I want to present you with this question. Are you the same person that you were 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 3 years ago? Are you the same person? Have you learned more? Did your beliefs change? Have you expanded and grown? Has your business expanded and grown? Has your passion changed? Have your hobbies changed? Your interests in your personal life, your relationships? I mean, I know the answer is yes. So if you have evolved and you have changed, don't you think it's important to take a minute and say, wait a minute, there's a good chance that my clients and my niche has also changed and evolved. Heck, technology has changed and evolved. I think back to when I started my business back in 2013, 2014. I wasn't on Instagram. It was probably just coming out. I was using an app called Periscope. Clubhouse didn't exist. TikTok didn't exist. I was mainly on Facebook. Half the features that we can do on Facebook now, we couldn't do back then. Everything is always changing. And that is why we name this the digital business evolution, right? Because your business is a direct reflection to you and your growth, and it will only grow to the extent that you do. So how dare you think that you're going to continue growing, but your client won't? If you want to go deeper and you really want to understand the psychology and the neuro linguistic programming, the NLP and psychology behind ideal client and niche, if you want to think about it in a head, heart, coherent way, in ways that you haven't been taught it before, I deeply encourage you to think about joining us in the Forgotten Essentials, which is a program that you can just purchase at any time, where we go through super deep work on customer journey and core values and niche and ideal client and all of these things that are foundational pieces of your business. But the reason I'm telling you about it today is because as part of our launch party for launching this podcast, we're offering you 10% off all of our programs. And all you have to do is head to the link over at the website, type in launch party as a promo code and you'll get 10% off. So the first two, niche, ideal client, that's really what it is. Number 3 is understanding there's a difference between passion and purpose. And this is where Spicy Jess comes in, because for so many years, I've been taught and I've read to build your business on your passion, right? Like build a business you're passionate about. And I always thought that that was true. I always thought that that was the quote, right way, until I actually stopped one day and said, I'm really interested to see what is the definition of passion. So I went to Google, good old Google University, and I looked it up. And the definition of passion is strong and barely controllable emotion. Let me say it again, strong and barely controllable emotion. So what I hear is uncontrollable emotion. And I'm stopping to think as I say it out loud, the first time that I read it, strong and uncontrollable emotion. Why would anybody tell me to build my business on uncontrollable emotion? That doesn't sound strong. That doesn't sound foundational. That doesn't sound concrete. I'm looking to build a business that can scale, that can sustain, that can maintain. When I think about building a business, I think about building a building. And I think about this foundation that has no cracks, no leaks, no uncertainty, a strong, flat, level foundation that I can put the lobby on, and then floor 1, and then floor 2, and then floor 10, and then 20, and then 30. And heck, I lived in New York City, so I'm picturing my skyscraper goes up like 40 floors, built out of glass, floor to ceiling windows. But I know that if I don't have a solid foundation, I won't be able to build those floors. And I also know that I can't build floor number 40 without 1 through 39. So when I read this definition, that passion is strong and uncontrollable emotion, well, that felt like an earthquake to me. Won't my building just come shattering down? So I took it upon myself to look up purpose. And the definition of purpose is the reason for which something is done or created or exists. And when it's used in verb tense, it is intention or objective. So the purpose is the reason why something is done, for which it's created, and why it exists. And so I sat back and said to myself, wow, I would rather build my business on purpose by design, right? Like by my own design. I would rather build it on purpose, but I'd love to be passionate about what the purpose is. And so when you go to build your business, when you go to create content, when you go to think about who these clients are that you're serving, I encourage you to think about the purpose of all of it rather than the passion. Because once I understood that, I started to recognize passions in my life that pop up all the time. We're humans. We are multi-dimensional humans, all of us. And so we have lots of interests. And I know for me, one moment I want to take dance class, and the next month I'm ready to learn guitar lessons, and the next month I want to learn Spanish. And if I were to lean into all of my passions and build businesses based on my passions, well, I'd have a different business popping up every quarter, every month. And I'd get so bored with it so fast that I would never follow through. So check yourself. Are you building because of passion, or are you building because of purpose? And how can you make sure that you're excited and passionate about your purpose? Number 4, be mindful of where your energy is leaking. Be strict about your boundaries. So energy is everything. That's our biggest asset. That's what people are buying. They're buying into you, right? They're buying into your time, your energy, your understanding. And so if you're allowing energy to leak anywhere in your life, well, it's going to be harder. It's going to be exhausting. It's going to require more energy from you. And we want to be mindful because at the end of the day, you know this, you want to pour from a full cup. But picture this. Picture you're holding 2 cups. One is empty and one is full. And you take the cup that's full and you pour a little bit into the cup that's empty. And you keep doing that over and over again. There is going to be a limit. There's going to be a capacity at which that cup that was once full now becomes empty. And you have to go and you have to find more liquid to pour back into it. But what if instead, picture a champagne tower, where all the champagne glasses are stacked on top of each other and there's one at the tippy top. And now imagine taking liquid and pouring it into the very tippy top glass. And it quite literally overflows and pours into the other glasses beneath it. But you never have to go around fishing for more liquid. You never have to spend energy tipping it over and pouring it into the other glass. It's just standing in its power and it's receiving all of the liquid that's being poured into it. And it's just naturally overflowing. And if you were to look at the physics of all of this, the science of all of this, it can actually fill up more cups faster than if we did it the first way. So when you're looking at your energy and your boundaries, make sure that you're not doing things that you don't need to be doing. And that could be both in and out of your business. So I love to follow the DAD method here. And the DAD method is, can I delete it? Can I automate it? Or can I delegate it? Delete, automate, delegate. So looking at the tasks that you're doing, how many of those things in your business really need to be you? How many of those things can you delete altogether because you don't need to be doing them? Maybe they don't actually move the needle. Maybe it's just busy work, making you feel valuable, right? Making you feel worthy, making you think that you're being productive. Can you automate it? There's so many incredible technologies that can help you do that. And can you delegate it? And delegate doesn't mean you have to hire someone. So if you're rolling your eyes like, I haven't even had 10K months, how am I going to pay for someone? You don't have to. You can find an intern, you can barter with somebody. There are technologies that will allow you to delegate. It can also just be things in your home. Maybe little things in your home, like doing the dishes and doing the laundry and running the errands, have become so energy draining, so taxing, but also are things that you don't technically have to do. So, can you set something up like maybe you use a laundromat? Maybe you have your food delivered to you. At the end of the day, we have to be cautious of if we're prioritizing money over time, which we're going to talk about in number 4. So, energy leaks and boundaries, making sure that we're building our business around our life, not our life around our business. Set up your own boundary and energy leak maintenance around things like energy vampires, siphons that are stealing it from you. They might not even know you exist. It might not be a friend. It might not be somebody that you're in touch with personally, but let's remove the distractions. It's okay to mute people. It's okay to unfollow people. It's okay to take apps off of your phone or set timers to be alarmed when you've been on an app for a certain amount of time. At the end of the day, we need to protect our energy. We get to protect our energy, but ultimately you have to be your own advocate. It's up to you. Number 5 is investing for your time. So I just said it before, we need to be careful that we're not prioritizing money over time, which many of us do. Raise your hand. Come on, do it with me. Just be careful if you're driving. Raise your hand if you have ever downloaded something for free or joined a free webinar, a free masterclass, a free challenge because it's free. And you're like, oh, heck yes, I'm going to do that. Raise your hand. Yep. You've taken it on for free. Even this podcast episode right now, you're listening. You're like, it's free. It's free content. I'm going to listen. Cool. So if you, for a glimmer of a second, did it because it was free and you didn't need to invest, it didn't require you to spend any money, then I want you just to take a second to have an awareness around this. Is it true? Is it possible that you may have, for a slight moment, prioritized your money over your time? Meaning, well, it's not going to cost me any money, so I'll definitely do it. But yet now you're spending time, which you cannot get back. And so you actually made the money more important than the time. You know, people will often talk about charge what you're worth, charge what you're worth. And I think that's BS. I really do. And we can have a whole episode on it. I think charging what you're worth is BS because at the end of the day, you can never come up with a number for what your life is worth. You can't, nor will anyone ever pay you what you're worth. Think for a moment if you had your last hour of life on earth and you were in your home, on your bed, on your couch with all of your loved ones, all of your friends and family members. It was your last hour of life. Is there really a number that you could put down that someone would pay you so that you would spend time with that person rather than your loved ones? Probably not. I certainly don't have a dollar amount that would take me away from my loved ones during my last hour of life. So be mindful if you're prioritizing your money over your time. Time is a resource that you cannot get back. Money we can get back. We can borrow more of it. We can create more, we can make more, we can borrow more. Time we cannot get back. So when you're investing in saving time, that goes right back to the dad method of delete it, automate it, delegate it. That goes back to learning from people who've done it before. This concept that people talk about like it's a trend right now, collapsing time. Let me help you collapse time. That's not new. That's not a new concept. This concept of collapsing time comes from something as simple as reading a book from somebody who spent their entire life work researching this particular topic, 40 years that they worked on this particular topic, and then they wrote it in a book. And you can take what took them 30, 40, 50 years to learn, and you can learn it in 250 pages. That is collapsing time. So invest in saving your time because you don't get your time back. But the money will come. Number 6, create more than you consume. Comparison will absolutely crush you. It will crush your business. It will crush your energy, your mindset, your mood, your motivation, your creativity. They say it, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. We've all been there. It sucks when you're comparing yourself to other people, but it's natural for it to happen. So again, don't judge yourself. You're human. Welcome. There's like 8 billion of us. Like, nice to have you in the club. So one of the things that you can do to make sure that we're we're decreasing the amount that we are comparing, because you will, is what we said earlier, which is watch those energy leaks, watch those boundaries that you're setting. But if you're simply creating more than you're consuming, if you're creating first before you're scrolling, it's going to help with that. It's this reframe that what you're doing when you create is for service, not sales. It's to give, not get, right? When that's the purpose, it helps with the process of comparison. Standing in your authority, knowing that you're the secret sauce, being authentic. There's confusion right now between authenticity and vulnerability, and people thinking that that means you have to air your skeletons in your closet and you have to talk about all your childhood wounds. That is not what authentic is. Authentic is just simply being you. All the weirdness, all the quirks, all the ups, all the downs, the good, the bad, the ugly. Authentic is staying true to your voice. It's not copying other people. It's not copying their content or the way that they speak. It's not trying to emulate how they show up and what they wear because you think that's going to create success. It's doing the things that feel best for you. Number 7, it's not about you. It's about them. Do not create content for you. Don't even create content for where you're at. Oftentimes in our journey, the transformation that you went through, the thing that you're teaching, the gap it gets big from where you once were. Oftentimes we are our ideal client. We're just further along in the customer journey. So think about it. If you're only speaking to who you are now and what you're interested in now and what you're learning now and the transformation that now, you're not going to be attracting the client who was you at the beginning. Meet them where they're at. Create for them. Build that know, like, and trust. Build that authority and credibility through sharing stories. Teach what they're interested in. Yes, of course, you want to be excited and, again, passionate about your business. But at the end of the day, if you're looking to help other people, then we need to offer advice that helps them, the solution to the problem that they're struggling with. And when you're thinking it's not about you, it's about them, I say this with love. This comes from my mentor, James. Your business is not meant to entertain you. Your business is not meant to entertain you. It's not going to be rainbows and butterflies all the time. It's not fun all the time. It should be fun to build it. You should love what you're doing. For me, I love coaching. I love teaching. That's why I started this podcast. I'm so excited about it because I get to show up and share. But there are parts of it, there are pieces of it that aren't fun. And my business is not meant to entertain me. So instead, I have hobbies. I go do things that fill my cup up from the top down. I make sure I insert myself into rooms that stretch me and conversations that expand me. But my business is not about me. It's about you. Number 8, and I say this with love, be mindful. Stop taking advice from people who haven't done it yet. Now, I can hear the argument already. And my husband is from Massachusetts, so we're Patriots fans. And so I will say this. Taking advice from someone who hasn't done it yet could sound extremely triggering to you. because of this argument. Bill Belichick, the coach of the Patriots, can't, most likely, I'm making an assumption, most likely he cannot throw the way that Tom Brady can throw, who was the quarterback there for about 20 years. Most likely he cannot run or catch as fast or as well as Rob Gronkowski or Julian Edelman or one of the players on the team, right? Most likely. But he has taught people how to do it. He's a phenomenal coach. And so just because he can't do it or he doesn't do it as well does not mean he's not capable. So I'm not saying that you have to only work with people who have done it. I'm just saying be mindful about the advice that you are taking. Because what I'm seeing happening in the industry, coaching industry in particular, which happens in all industries, is a lot of regurgitation. So a lot of people are learning something and then they're regurgitating and teaching it back before they've implemented it. So I'm not saying you can only learn how to build a business from a coach who's made money. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is maybe take a pulse on your mentors and who you're looking up to and the coaches that you're working with, and just be cautious, be mindful that you're not getting sucked into flashy marketing without actual skills or tangible tools or practices that have been put into place. Systems that we know work. Even if it doesn't work for them, have they done it for other clients yet? As a trainer for 18 years, I didn't have the most ripped up, shredded body. And I used to doubt myself because of it. But at the end of the day, I had 18 years experience as a trainer. I had a college degree in exercise physiology and kinesiology, and I had a million certifications in the fitness world. I was very well equipped to help my clients. I knew a lot. I had so much experience, but I did not have as many abs. I did not have as many abs as a lot of the trainers that I worked with. And I felt that it made me less than, that people wouldn't think that I could get them a transformation. So understand me when I'm saying you can absolutely help people. Coaches and mentors out there can help you, even if they don't have the abs, if they haven't made the money. Just recognize that you are speaking and taking advice from someone who has some ability, who has integrated and embodied some level of the advice that they're giving. All right, number 9, we've got 2 more. Be prepared for the expectation hangover. I did not coin that. Christine Hassler wrote a book, Expectation Hangover, which I love, and you should definitely go read it. But be prepared for the expectation hangover. Recognize that not everything is going to turn out how you planned. And that's the beautiful part of the journey. Practice the detachment. Practice setting both realistic and extremely crazy, stupid idea, stretchy goals. But also know that your worthiness is there no matter what, regardless of the outcome of all of the pieces of your business, regardless of the money, the amount of clients, the programs, the likes, the DMs. You're worthy no matter what. And when you can find that place of worthiness before looking for the external, choose to follow my advice or not. But after a very long time, almost 40 years of battling with this myself, I'm just now seeing it. I'm learning it. I'm understanding it. So I'm sharing it. It's when you can find the worthiness before the money comes in, the happiness and the peace of mind and the freedom of mind before the clients, before the likes, before the viral video. That's when it will start to feel like the way that you're desiring. So be prepared for the expectation hangover. It's not going to always go the way that you want it to. And that in itself is the journey, because those losses, in quotes, are the lessons. And the last one I'm going to give you is there's clarity in contrast. The only way that you're going to know if you like olives is to try eating olives. And then you're going to figure out if you like them. There's clarity in contrast. You'll see what you like, what you don't like, what's working, what's not working, but be malleable, be flexible, be okay with change, be okay with being adaptable. Detach, like we just said, detach from the outcome. Don't be so dead set in your way because it's the only way. Ego is your biggest overhead. Ego will crush you. Let go of that and understand that feedback is neutral. It's not good or bad. Whether it's feedback from your clients, feedback from your social media, whatever it is, feedback is neutral. It has nothing to do with you as a human. But that feedback is a great GPS. It's a great guidance system. The feedback is telling you, go left, go right, it's working, it's not. Faster, slower, more, less. So take that feedback, take that clarity, and don't get frustrated with the clarity. "Ugh, I wasted time. I should have known. I knew I wouldn't like this. I hate this." No, take that clarity, take that contrast, and allow it to guide you. Okay, 10 different steps to help get those 10K consistent months. But also, these are the same 10 steps that I use over and over and over in my business. These are the foundational pieces of my business. These are the things that we go back to scale the business. And when I feel myself getting really far away from these 10 things, when I feel myself feeling detached from my clients or distant from my own story, or like content isn't sticking all of a sudden, I come back home to these 10. So I hope these are super, super helpful. Make sure, like I said, you download the PDF. We have that for you so you don't have to do any of the writing. And if you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you screenshot and shared it out on Instagram. Tag me at I am Jessica DeRose. Let me know that you listened to it. And of course, if you're interested in any of our programs for the remainder of our launch party for kicking off the Digital Business Evolution podcast, we are gifting you 10% off any of those programs using the code LAUNCHPARTY. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you shared it with a friend. And if you want the chance to win one of our incredible podcast launch giveaways, like a Yeti microphone, AirPods, or a super cute throwback Polaroid camera, all things to help your business evolve and explode, make sure you take 30 seconds to subscribe, review, and share on your socials. Be sure to check out our show notes for all the juicy details. And until next time, cheers to your evolution.